Over the weekend, Kari once again gave a masterclass on how to deal with the sniveling woke leftist disguised as journalists in the lamestream media. We're going to see exactly how Kari handled herself on CNN and why she promises to be the most amazing ultra-MAGA Arizona governor ever.
To another issue facing your state, and that is the influx of migrants at the southern border. A lot of these individuals are seeking asylum. They are fleeing political violence in countries like Guatemala and Honduras. Do you accept that the U.S. has a responsibility to accept those asylum seekers?
Well, the vast majority of the people coming across don't really meet the criteria for asylum. There's a lot of fraudulent asylum claims that are being made. I'm really concerned about the people of Arizona. We've had 5 million people come in, and we've had 1 million of them called gotaways. That means we're not even processing them. They want to avoid capture because they have criminal records. We need to vet people coming into our country. We have a great legal immigration system, a very generous legal immigration system, but we can't afford to take on the world's problems right now when so many Americans are struggling, so many Arizonans are struggling. And I'm really concerned about the number of seizures we've had with fentanyl coming across the border. It is the #1 killer of young people in this country, and it's coming through Arizona. We're no longer going to allow the cartels to have operational control of our border.
Now, did you catch that phrase that Kari used there? We are no longer going to allow the drug cartels to have operational control over our border. Drug cartels control our border. Let that hit you. In other words, Democrats have done to our southern border precisely what they've done to our inner cities in Detroit and Baltimore and St. Louis and Cleveland. Just as brutal gangs rule those streets, so drug cartels rule our southern border. It's a great observation. Completely goes over the head of Dana Bash. She's just too woke to notice.
DHS says that less than 1% of migrants encountered at the border have a criminal record. But
DHS says that less than 1% of migrants encountered at the border have a criminal record. They're all criminals, Dana. They're here illegally. How does this not compute with? How do you even have an intelligible conversation with someone defending the lack of a criminal record for a criminal? Sorry, roll the tape.
I want to stick on the question of asylum. Those that do meet the criteria, should they be allowed to stay in this country? And do you think that what the current governor, Doug Ducey, has done, sending some of the migrants to Washington, D.C., is the right thing to do? Would you continue that practice?
Dana, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that figure you just put out. We have 1 million gotaways. These are people who are intentionally entering this country, mainly through the Tucson sector, and we don't know what their background is. There's a reason they're trying to get in unnoticed. It's because they have a criminal background. And they are coming into this country. We know that they have tracked down terrorists. They've tracked down people wanted for murder. You can go to the Customs and Border Patrol site, and you'll see we've got murderers coming in. We have people with raps, with a rape record. You name it. We've got hardened criminals coming.
Well, let me just tell you that this stat that I just cited comes from the Department of Homeland Security. Less than 1% of migrants. And I know that you're using language like rapists and criminals and so forth. What I was asking about are migrants seeking asylum.
I'm sensing someone getting triggered. Don't use language like that. How dare you? How dare you? Kari obviously didn't flinch. Look, Dana Bash and all the woke activists over at CNN know that they are fighting a losing battle with this. They've lost the battle of the southern border. They know it. They've done everything they possibly can to impose their leftist victimhood status on illegal migrants, but the vast majority of the American public is on the side of Kari Lake. We have one of the most generous immigration systems in the world. If people want to avail themselves of that, like my wife did and a number of my dearest friends have done, then they can get in line and go through the legal immigration process. But this notion that people cut in front of that line, bypassing every legal requirement that everyone else wanting to enter this country was adhering to, the notion that they are the real victims and they're the ones who should benefit most from our ridiculously generous legal system has failed. The American people are overwhelmingly on Kari Lake's side on this, hence why Dana had to move on. Hey gang, in researching and gathering the information you need to help you think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent times, I, your patriot professor, can honestly say that I rely on no one more than the amazing reporting and informationally rich news resources at the Epoch Times. The Epoch Times specializes in reporting on news stories that are important to you. News stories that the lamestream media, like CNN, purposely ignores. They focus on clear fact-based journalism without spin or hidden agendas, precisely because they actually trust you, their discerning readers, to arrive at your own conclusions. So now, for a limited time, they have a special offer just for you, my audience. If you click on that link below, you can subscribe to the Epoch Times for an entire 2 months for just $1. How's that for a gift? You're going to absolutely love them, gang, and I couldn't recommend a news resource more highly. Click on that link below and subscribe today.
But I want to move on to another really important issue, particularly when it comes to your critical swing state of Arizona. And that is what happened in 2020. You called the 2020 election corrupt, stolen, rotten, and rigged. And there was no evidence of any of that presented in a court of law or anywhere else, that any of those things are true. So why do you keep saying that?
Well, there's plenty of evidence. We had 740,000 ballots with no chain of custody. Those ballots shouldn't have been counted. We had election
Where is the
laws
evidence of that?
Dana, there's plenty of evidence. You can find it. I'm happy to send it to your team. The problem is the media won't cover it. And
we've covered this extensively, and what you just said has been debunked.
Only one side of it, Dana. The real issue, Dana, is that the people don't trust our elections. They haven't since 2000. I'm a reporter. I've been sitting on your side of the desk for a long time. And since 2000, we have Americans who don't trust our elections. In 2000, in 2004, they didn't trust the elections. In 2016, Kamala Harris, Amy Klobuchar, and Hillary Clinton, everybody on the Democrat side said the election had problems.
Ms. Lake, there definitely has been some of that. But I want to say in 2000, Al Gore conceded. In 2004, John Kerry conceded. In 2016, Hillary Clinton conceded. And we didn't see that in 2020. That's the difference. And so the question is, are you undermining faith in elections by saying that the 2020 election was stolen when there's absolutely no evidence to support that?
Dana, in 2018, Stacey Abrams never conceded. She still hasn't. I don't hear CNN calling her an election denier. We have the right, and it's protected with our First Amendment, to question our government and to question elections.
No question about that.
We still have the First Amendment.
Yep.
We still have the First Amendment. And when you start seeing the media cancel people for questioning their government, then that's when we have a problem.
I totally agree about the First Amendment. You and I are benefiting from the First Amendment as we speak.
This is what makes Kari Lake so effective as a candidate and why she's so absolutely fearless when it comes to the lamestream media. Remember, Kari Lake was a broadcaster. She was a Phoenix newscast for over 20 years. So she knows how the sausage is made, as it were, in the newsrooms. And that's why she can hit back so effectively. Hey, I've been on your side of the desk for years. And the investigations that I've done reveal that Americans across the board are losing confidence in our electoral process. And who did she cite as examples? Who did she cite? Kamala Harris, Amy Klobuchar, Hillary Clinton. They all denied the legitimacy of the 2016 election. And then Dana Bash did what all woke leftists do. They say, yeah, but... And then what they do is they pull out of the proverbial hat a distinction, which for them, for the woke left, is decisive. Yeah, but they all eventually conceded. You see, the distinction they conceded is supposed to function like a magical charm protecting any and all Democrats from charges of hypocrisy, even though we now know, thanks to the John Durham investigation, that Hillary Clinton and her minions continued to try to undermine the Trump presidency after he took office. Dana Bash could care less about that. She conceded. You see, we're free now. We're not one of you. But Kari Lake wasn't having it. What about Stacey Abrams? She never conceded the 2018 gubernatorial election in Georgia, and CNN has never referred to her as an election denier. Actually, it gets even more pathetic than that. Just last year, CNN wrote a puff piece lauding Stacey Abrams for refusing to concede, and even celebrated the extraordinary wins the Democrats were racking up in Georgia since she stormed onto the political stage. What's your magic spell distinction now, CNN?
Let's look ahead,
Dana,
and let's talk about
Dana.
the 2022 election. Will you accept the results of your election, Ms. Lake?
I'm running against a twice convicted racist who cost the state taxpayers $3 million because of her hatred for people of color. She paid a woman of color in her office $30,000 less than men doing the same job. Last week, we learned she held a slave auction, a mock slave auction in high school. We saw her running from a black reporter, hiding in the bathroom from him. I'm not going to lose this election because
I'm going to talk to Katie Hobbs. I'm going to talk to Katie Hobbs right after we're done.
Arizona will never elect a racist like Katie Hobbs.
My question is, will you accept the results of your election in November?
I'm going to win the election and I will accept that result.
If you lose, will you accept that?
I'm going to win the election and I will accept that result because the people of Arizona will never support and vote for a coward like Katie Hobbs who won't show up on a debate stage. She's single-handedly destroying a 20-year tradition of gubernatorial debates because of her cowardice.
I love it. Will you accept the results of the 2022 election? Well, I'm going to win the election, and I will accept that result. Game, set, match. Kari Lake. She's going to be an amazing Ultra MAGA governor. And as election night approaches, I'm compiling some of my best resources as a blueprint for you to be confident walking into this election season. They're going to be a completely free gift just for you, and I'll share more soon as we get closer to the elections. As always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button, and make sure to check out my latest video on the Democrats who just ended their own campaigns. You're going to absolutely love it, so make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.